So, new addition to my layout, this big, huge layout that I've got here. Well, it's not big, huge, but it's pretty big. I added a locomotive yard, and this was pretty tricky. I think in my original design, I did think about having a roundhouse in here, um, or on the layout itself, but a whole bunch of other priorities came up that kind of bounced the idea of having the roundhouse in place. I think a lot of the inner loop tracks made it too short for things like my big steam locomotives or some of the longer cars. Actually, most of my locomotives can run on the whole track, but trying to put a roundhouse in, I probably could have, but um, it just the size of a roundhouse is so big; it would take up so much space, and that's where I had a problem. Here is that a roundhouse almost fits. It's probably 2 to 3 inches too small of the space here to put a roundhouse here. But what I wanted to do was create a locomotive yard, number one, and number two, can I display my locomotives, which is a big reason for making this locomotive yard. The big disadvantage to this, or probably two disadvantages, it's not realistic. For one, it's not, and the reason it's not realistic is that in order to get this locomotive here, it's got to zigzag its way back and forth until it gets to this branch of what I have set up here. So it's not realistic, but how many locomotives can you run on a layout? I mean, I can run 7, but I can't run the number of locomotives I can put on here, which I think my max is 14. But it's approximate depending on how small the locomotives you have. Like the little RS units can fit in a couple extras, but then you get to the longer, the Dash 8s, the Gevos, and the 40-2s, and then you got something else. But anyways, here's how this works. So coming off this main red line, I'm coming in here, and I can break off into all these branches here. I have this branch going off here and then here, but then I do have to zigzag them back and forth to get to this part here. So typically I'll put one here that I don't run very much, but I really like, and it looks really good back here that I don't have to use as much. The other disadvantage of this is if you look, I have my PRR T1 duplex sitting here. That duplex might be able to fit on this one, but really doesn't fit in any of these others. Again, that's because of the space I had. One of the cool things about the hobby is the challenge of trying to get what the space that you want to do it with reality, and what space you actually have. How can I put that scale of reality into it? And that's where I think my trade-off, I just had to give up, and I had to have the zigzag. But I can put my locomotives there, and you can see, you know, I have more Susquehannas. I can put all my Susquehannas, make it look a Susquehanna yard. I'm picking up a lot of D and H's lately, so I'm going to be able to do that as well. So this line I try to keep empty most of the time. This line is also my programming track. So right at this point right here, I'm insulated so that this program track can be separate all by itself. But it's also, I just insulated it here. So this is all live for the main line. But here, what I can do is, since it is off the main line, you can tell all the lights are on. But down underneath here, I have a toggle switch that I can turn on and off the yard. So not all my lights come back on. It depends on what decoder I have. The TACS decoders come back on, but like the ESU ones do not. Let me get my hand down here so you can see. I can turn the yard on and off from down underneath. So now this part of my yard is dead. Now notice that this one is on because it's on the programming track. So my programming track has several different options. I can put the programming track on the main, which is where I have it right now. I can shut off completely. I can, if I move the switch up to program, then this switch comes into play, and I can either program with my cab, my NCE power cab, which is right here. So I can program with this, or I can flip it down and program with my JMRI. So I've given myself the options. So this is how I control my program track. So right now it's on the main, so that's why you see that locomotive lights didn't go off, because this part of the yard is program track. The rest is my basically my locomotive yard that I can turn off and not power. The advantage of that is that, let's say one of the locomotives running around the track shorts out. I do have circuit breakers, so I'm not going to totally damage anything. But let's say I do short out something, I'm not damaging all these locomotives. They're just sitting there on a dead track as a display, which is kind of what I wanted to do. So I don't have a nice round house here. Again, it's too small, but here's my locomotive yard that I put together. Not necessarily complete. I would like to do, you need to put some shrubbery in here or something, but that's what I did with this little space right here.